it's Julia. Today I have for you a project using limited supplies. My husband and I are vacationing and staying warm this winter for a couple of months, and I brought very few items with me, not just limited supplies. But I will have to say, I think when you do have fewer supplies, you become more creative, or you just think outside the box a bit more. And so I wanted to share with you these notebook covers that I made. They are a 5x7 composition book, and it's just a really super simple construction. I'm going to show how I made it. I'm actually going to go over both of these designs. I've used different mixed media things and different paints, things that I brought with me. And also I have this as a free printable, this Dragonfly design as a free printable on my website, and I'll link that down below if any of you else want to create using this same Dragonfly design. I also used this design on a Makeover sweatshirt a few weeks back, and if you've missed that one, it was more of a scrappy type applique, but it's another way of using this same design. And I'll link that video up above in the iCards and also down below in case you want to go back and take a look at that as well. So I hope you join me, and I also wanted to mention that not only do I have limited supplies here, but I do not have my studio lights here either. And I have had a couple comments on my dark videos, and that's the reason. I just don't have all my things here. This video is going to be somewhat dark, and also I think I maybe filmed a couple more, so bear with me on that. Let's get started. The fabric that I'm using is a cotton duck or canvas fabric in the natural color. My little notebook is 5x7, so it's 7 inches high. So my piece, I ripped the piece at 7.5 inches. I want that frayed edge, and that's why I chose to rip it. Here's my little notebook, and these again are little composition books. I picked these up at Walmart. I think some office supply stores possibly would have them too. I really like this little size. And I just folded that around over my booklet to get so that these flaps in the right position before I ironed it down. Now I have the shape of my little notebook. And now it's on to designing the cover. I love this new stamp set. I got it at Tuesday morning. I'll try to find it and list it down below. It's by Hero Arts, but it's nothing but blue skies, and I just love that saying. I'm using my little jelly plate. I do not have my big jelly plate with me, but I brought this little 3x5, and I want to use it as a stamp, just to get a little bit of a background to this piece. Using my Inktense Blocks, and I'm just going to stamp it right in on the front of that little booklet or book cover. I spritz that plate, that jelly plate, with water, and then I'm just taking my Inktense block and just smearing that all over. And I'm making a mess, as you can tell too, but I just use that as part of my design, and you'll see that in a little bit. I took my paintbrush now, and I'm just dabbing paint around and doing some splatters to tie that little spill together. I've chosen some scraps and also a piece of ribbon for the closure. And I'm using the freezer paper method to do this raw edge applique pieces. Just tracing those pieces on my freezer paper. So the paper side is up and the wax side is down. Roughly cutting them out. And now these pieces will be ironed onto the front side of the fabrics. And then cutting these out right on the line. I'm putting them into an old roasting pan here. And I leave the paper on, and the paper is down. And then I'm using a temporary basting spray. I leave that paper on because this pan gets really sticky and I don't want it to stick on the fabric, and so I leave that paper on, and then I'll peel that paper off when I'm ready to put it onto my notebook. What I like about this temporary spray is it is temporary, and you can move these pieces around if you get them in the wrong spot. For the stamp now, I'm just putting this, just trying to figure out where I want it. I want it up if I want it down. I think I decided on the right hand side so it offsets that sun. This is a brand new stamp, and so I am priming it and stamping it on paper just to make sure that the ink is it's well inked. Some of the hints that I use on stamping on fabric is you want your stamp pad to be juicy. You have plenty of ink in it. And then you just hold it for a little bit longer, and then you usually get a pretty good impression. I am using waterproof ink from Ranger here. I did want this blue skies to be a little darker, and so I'm using my fabric markers from Artzea just to fill those letters in. To my sewing machine now, and I want to outline my pieces in black. So I have black thread on, and I have my feed dogs dropped, and I have my darner or darner foot on or free motion foot on, just adding some detail on that sun. And then we'll outline all my little pieces of this sailboat. And I am going over it more than once. I do like that sketched on look. That's just a preference. And then going down and getting that bread piece on as well. To finish the sewing on this little notebook cover, I'm just going to be stitching those flaps into place. Now this isn't a pretty heavy canvas, and I did not wash it, and so I do not need any stabilizer. It is just very sturdy and strong. So I'm just going to finish that off and then add my little tie just by stitching that down on the backs on the spine part of this little notebook. Just sliding that notebook in. I thought this would make a wonderful little journal to keep in a cabin. I'll have this up in Minnesota in my little store. I think it'll be really fun. These will also be on Etsy. I'm on to my next design now, and this is going to be the Dragonfly. Doing the same method, I did use a little bit darker colored Inktense block, a little bit different shade of blue, and just using it again as a stamp. I love the variation of this. It's just a really fun method. I'm using my Heat and Bond Lite for this applique and just drawing around those pieces of the Dragonfly. Again, the paper side is up and the glue side is down, and I can see right through this Heat and Bond and just trace those pieces that I need. Again, using some scraps. I have a black print that I'm using for the body. And then I chose two different colors for the wings. Just removing the paper off of the back piece, back of each of these little pieces, and getting them to where I want them. And ironing them down. I'm going to be free motion stitching this as well, but I want to add some of the detail, so I'm using my heat erase pens for this. Sometimes I like to add this before I go to the sewing machine, just so I know what I'm doing. I didn't like what I did there, so I got rid of it with just my iron. And I've decided to add the word faith, like it's in his flight, this dragonfly's flight path. I just kind of added it to the end of his tail. And it's off to my sewing machine again. I don't show a lot of this, but I do add a little detail to the wing that I wanted you to see. It's really fun to add detail with your stitching, and then again his antenna. And then of course down to the word. I thought this would make a wonderful little Bible journal, little prayer journal. And again, I finished this the same way and added a ribbon. I have some photos. I actually got another design done as well that I didn't go over here. But this is The Story Begins. It's just another sweet little design. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much, everybody who's joined me today. Bye for now.